The plans are going to the county for approval on Monday. We met with them 2 weeks ago. It went very well. We don't anticipate the same problems we had with them asking for 11 bathrooms when we expanded the new bar. We really think that they're going to be sensible. They told us they were going to charge us the impact fee, and Bob Carroll, our contractor, called them. They decided that we weren't expanding any of the community, so they decided for the transportation fee, which was the largest part. It was like $10,000. They said we don't have to pay that now. Once we get this permit signed, I'm going to go back after the impact fee we had to pay for the first stage for the same rationale. If we didn't need it for this, we shouldn't have had to pay it for that. So that's going very well. We're hoping to know in the next 2 weeks. We'll obviously get out to you immediately if they approve the permit for the expansion of the front. But it's a great opportunity. Bob Carroll said, if we don't do it now, given the way Pasco is going with their permitting, we may never ever get it approved in the future. And the other reason is the roof over for the trellis. That's reserved now. If we wait, then anything we do out there is 100% capital. Nothing can be done with reserve. Now that we're moving windows and things like that, some things can be attributed to the reserve to help pay for this, instead of having it all come out of capital. Anybody got any other questions?
What about the kitchen expansion?
Kitchen expansion. Good. That's a very good question, Pat. That may be deferred to next year, and here's why. As you've seen here, and if you've seen the old bar, we're framing that in this week. One of the things on the board agenda that's going to be, we're going to ask for approval, is to extend the roof out for 2 reasons. Extend the roof out behind the kitchen, because that's where we're going to expand the kitchen. And the other thing is, I promised the golfers when we started this, that when we took away their roof over area outside, where they like, especially the smokers can sit and have their drinks and do their scorecards, we're going to roof over back behind the restaurant all the way to the pool rail. So we're going to replicate that roof over area, so we're going to have that type of seating again. It's great this summer when it's raining and things like that. So that's going to hopefully be approved by the board on the Monday board meeting. So really all we have left to do with the kitchen, Pat, is to go in there, and there's some interior walls that need to be cleaned out so it's much more wide open, and then buy the equipment. Right now, if the expansion is approved, from a capital standpoint, Kevin and I have been looking, your treasurer and I, have been looking at the capital. It's going to be done out of operating cash. Right now we're at $442,000. It could draw it down a couple $100,000. Both of us are not in favor of going below $200,000 in operating cash for obvious reasons. But Kevin and I are going back through the budget. We've got the managers going through it. We have some savings again for the Valley Crest contract. Our insurance came in. I hope this isn't too much information. The insurance came in $10,000 less. And I've asked the managers to get some more operating efficiencies. If we can find $100,000 more, strip it out of the budget over these next 2 weeks, then there's a chance that we're going to recommend that the kitchen expansion stays for this summer. It's a cash issue right now. We can live with this kitchen for another year if we have to, but if we pass on this expansion, we will likely never get it again. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, Joe?
I called the county and they reduced my yearly taxes for property. Have we asked them to reassess this to see if we can get it reduced? Or will the upgrade on the building?
Yeah, my hunch is let sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah, with the bumped out fitness center, the bumped out bar, yeah, we haven't changed, we had a meeting with them. We haven't changed the footprint, okay? So we met with that was, remember, Gary, that meeting? We had site in there, and if we change the footprint, that's when they come and reassess. As long as we're not changing the footprint with the bump out in front. Oh, actually, I'm sorry about that. It doesn't record well. When we met with the county, we're not changing the footprint of the building. Everything we went out on was already built. We didn't have to build new footers and things like that. Same with the bump out on the front. So they told us at a meeting we had with all of the departments that needed to approve these plans, that because they thought we were changing the footprint, it was a big deal. And when they found that out, the meeting went about another 15 minutes and was over. So no, it's because we're not changing the footprint. So we don't think that that's going to come into play at all. They're going to come out here and reassess us.
Well, again, the thing is property values have all gone down the past couple of years, and nobody has assessed what the value was 2 years ago. And I don't see any reason why we can't say, listen, we haven't changed the footprint, we haven't done anything except the upgrade on the roof. Why is our property value the same as it was 2 years ago?
We can look into that. And we don't know that. I know where I came from, Charlotte County, they went back through and reassessed properties and lowered everybody's on their own without being asked. So I'm not saying Pasco's going to do it because their revenues are, you saw in the paper yesterday, I guess, a $4.8 billion state budget shortage. So You know, I don't think that they may not voluntarily do it, but I agree with Kevin. At least at this point, let sleeping dogs lie. I'm not going to raise that question with them while I'm in the middle of a construction project.
I don't know if you folks want to stay for a couple of minutes, but there are other things on the agenda that I didn't address. And again, I don't know if you'd be interested in it, but there'll be a financial presentation in January on the results for the year of the association. And just to highlight it, it'll show that we made $320,000 this year. So that's revenue in excess of expenses of $320,000. And essentially, that's the money we use for the new bar, for the expanded fitness center, for some of the new furniture and fixtures. So in essence, we reinvested that money back into the association, back into the clubhouse. We'll also present Monday, you'll notice there's about $43,000 worth of capital expenditures for some of the things Gary just mentioned. But at the same time, we'll present to the board the entire picture of what all of the other changes that are in the plans for the clubhouse that will go from 2011 into 2012, so that the board gets an understanding, the magnitude of what we're attempting to do. And that's one of the reasons why when we did that, we saw that we may or may not be able to get the kitchen expansion done this year. But as Bill said, if we go through the budget, get more money out of the budget, and historically what has happened, quite honestly, is we generally do better than budget. It may or may not happen this year, but certainly if we do, then we can get that kitchen done this year. But in any event, it's to give the board an idea where we are in terms of capital spending, how much can we do this year, how much do we need to defer to make sure that we don't bring that cash balance down too low.
Why are we looking at shotguns at this time when, not very long ago, we had consultants come in here and one of their recommendations was do away with the shotguns. Now, are we looking at more shotguns than before?
No, we're not. Oh. No, we're not. It's on the agenda. A board member's asked us to put that on there, and that's their right. I'll tell you right now my recommendation to the board, and that is that we keep things status quo. You're exactly right. The amenity analysis said we needed to analyze it, and we needed to try more tea time starts to see if the daily feed players would come back. That's what they've been saying. And we did it once last year and did it for 3 weeks and we stopped it. It's my understanding, and the reason people say I can change it back, I can't. When the board accepted the amenity analysis, that was one of the recommendations on the amenity analysis, and it was from management too. So when they accepted that, that became the board directing me. They don't get into operations. None of the board members tell me, as the chief operating officer, what to do on management. But in this instant, because it was part of the amenity analysis, it was a board action. They created that day of tea times to investigate whether that it was going to be better for the community. So my recommendation is I'm not even going to say after 3 months we change it. It all depends. I will tell you this though. Kevin Burnsworth and I looked at it the last 3 or 4 days, and Kevin and I were looking at it yesterday. Daily feed play is up, and it's up significantly. We have 243 tea times next Thursday. That's the most we've ever had on a Thursday. So, and that is daily feed play. It's driving that. So this experiment won't be successful if a month into it, or even in my opinion, 3 months into it, we flip it back. We've got to see if these people have told us, the daily feed people, they said, if you give us tea times, we will play. And and it does maximize the revenue. So to answer your question, my recommendation is that we do not send it back, especially this early, without having a fair chance to evaluate the effectiveness of it.
Yeah, just to add to that, the other thing I'll present to the board on Monday is an analysis of the tea times first in November and December. So it's about a So it'll be an analysis of tea times by day from November through December, which is our winter peak period. And essentially, and it excludes inclement weather days. But what it's going to show, I think, is that this golf course is pretty much underutilized. It averages out, and I have the highs and lows, and I don't know specifically all the numbers, but generally speaking, Tuesday is probably the slowest day here. we average about 86 rounds a day. Now, my sense is that, I mean, I know the intimate details of at least one of the golf course, and I know some of the details in some of the others, but it seems to me a conservative full capacity should be about 250 rounds. So on Tuesdays, we're at 86 rounds. Wednesdays is another slow day, about 100 rounds. And I think Friday is the other day with, again, 100 rounds. So that utilization is extremely low. And I think what I'll point out to the board on that day is I think Bill needs to address that. And those are all shotgun start dates for November, December. Now you come into January, and the only day that's changed from shotgun to daily fee is Thursdays. Thursdays in the November, December period, again, excluding inclement weather days, averaged 146 rounds. So far, admittedly it's a short period, but so far through 3 weeks of this year, on Thursdays we're already at 205 rounds. So we went from 146 to 205. I played yesterday on that tee sheet, there were 230 rounds. So again, back in the shotgun period, November to December, Thursdays were the third highest day. At 146, they were the third highest day. In January, Thursdays is now the highest day in terms of rounds played. We're up almost at 90% utilization, and that quite honestly is where we should be. So.
Anybody got any other questions?
Closure.
Ladies first.
Let me ask a question, it has nothing to do with this, but I do have a question.
Sure.
Okay.
This has to do with the bylaws. I met a couple here recently at the bar and asked them to join us. They were new here. They had just been here for like 5 days, so they started having dinners with us. They are renters here for 3 months, and my understanding with the bylaws that they have to use cash or pay with a credit card.
That's right.
I was wondering if something could be done. These renters that are coming in here at this time hopefully will be future owners here in our community if they like our place, and we're hoping they do.
Yeah,
Something can be done about that.
This came up last year, the board voted. We had some delinquency issues with renters, where the owners fall back on the owners refuse to pay. And that's the only person we can go after is the homeowner. In most communities, this is the way it's treated. Communities in Naples, Fort Myers, whatever, most communities I've worked in, the renter does go on a credit card, their own credit card, because there's no guarantee that the owner, that we have to chase the owner. And in some cases, it's a foreclosure or a unit going into foreclosure. So the board, very wisely, this past year, they voted to do this. And we're not trying to be punitive to anybody, but it was starting to become a problem, especially in the economy. The way the rental picture is changing, not in here, but it's changing in the community because of so many people that have lost their homes to foreclosure.
But can't they give you a credit card when they sign in and you have a copy of their credit? Just like when we go to a resort, the first thing we do is give them our credit card. And anything we charge while we're at that resort goes on our credit card and we pay it.
Right.
And they do the same thing?
They could, but we didn't feel we wanted to take on that bookkeeping responsibility. It's just as easy for them to take that credit card and pay at the time of service, just like you take your charge card, your member charge card out. It's no different. They're still going to have to take the card out and give it to the service. So we just the obligation that way. It settled the obligation right then and there. And what if the credit card got bad? What if it was over limit? We don't go through any of that. It's all on them. If their credit card doesn't work, they get another credit card. That's fine. What? Just tell us next one.
I just asked about the function of the closure committee there. Is that some kind of misnomer? Are we going to renovate and close the club? Or what is that?
No, the board formed that committee, and they're looking into whether we should do a number of different things. Whether we should restrict the number of days that we close, whether we should restrict the day we close, or should we possibly not accept any outside business. And I don't want to speak to that too much. It's Bob Ferris's committee, and he's just formed